Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your technical critic.
And this is my spoiler warning right now because there's no way, there's absolutely no possible way to talk about this episode without spoiling anything because my god, the things that happened. So if you're watching this and you haven't seen the series, what the hell is wrong with you? Why are you watching a review of a show you haven't even seen? Go! If you haven't made it season 4, what are you doing here? Stop wasting your internet time. Go watch Game of Thrones. And then come back. And then we can talk about it. Come on. Be smart about it. But before you go, like, favorite, subscribe in the comments. Yes, I'm a shameless shell. Oh well, let's get on with it. The king is dead. God damn the king. And oh my god, that is really all there is to say about this episode. So it starts off with some poor girl getting hunted with dogs and arrows by that crazy kid that cut off Theon Greyjoy's. Well, you know what happened. If you're watching this, you know what happened. So he gets reamed out later about making him half a man, and yeah, that's pretty much where that storyline ends up. You basically get confirmation. Yeah, the crazy character is crazy. Daenerys, she made no appearance in this episode whatsoever. Stannis Baratheon, you could see that the power is slowly slipping from his grip with the Red Lady and his crazy wife. And let's see. Jaime is still Jaime. Cersei is still Cersei. Oh, apparently Brienne is in love with Jaime. I guess I could see it, but really, at this point, who cares? Who cares? And oh my God, the king is dead. And take a guess who poisoned him? No, it was not Tyrion. It was not Tyrion Lannister, as Cersei unfortunately suspects. But, well, let's face it, Geoffrey's dead. Everyone loves it. I'm probably going to get a billion comments saying it's Geoffrey. But who cares? He's dead. Let's all be very, very exuberant about it. But to be quite honest, as a critic, watching this, as good as that scene is, and it is very, very good, the lead up to it is just so bland. And also, I don't know who was taking bets as to like how he would die. Poisoning seems appropriate, but it doesn't seem like it's as violent as everyone wanted it to be. I mean, sure, he turned purple, and sure, there were veins in his face, and sure, blood was like gushing out of his nose. You have to watch it. It is truly gratifying. But still, maybe he'd been burned to death. I don't know. How do you kill an insubordinate little prick like Joffrey? How should he die? Torn apart by wild horses? Roasted and dragged? No, that's too quick. I don't know. It feels appropriate for the show. His death feels appropriate, but not nearly as violent as it was supposed to be. Oh my gosh, this thing keeps slipping. Sorry about that. So this was a good... No. I shouldn't say this is a good episode. This is an episode with good parts in it. So let's see. The good parts. Brienne of Tar, she's revealed to be in love with Jaime, although I don't think she believes it. Joffrey dies, obviously. And let's see, what else happens? Nothing really. Not Lazy Sansa. Tyrion's girlfriend, I suppose, is what you would say. He finally decides to send her home. And God bless him for doing that, because let's face it, oh my God, that storyline was just going nowhere. Although, you know what, I did want to see if she managed to become a player in the politics of King's Landing, but honestly, with all the characters we have on stage, she is just an extra in the background. And if she's not a power player, she's going to get her head chopped off. And if she was a power player, there'd be an even more likely thing that she'd get her head chopped off. But Cersei, it's a minor power playing between Cersei and the new queen, where the queen's like, we're going to give all this food after we're done eating it, whatever's left over, to the poor people of King's Landing. Cersei's not having any of that. She's like, she goes to Master Pycelle after he catches her with some young girl, and she basically like, okay, either you give all this food to the kennels, or I am going to feed you to my dogs personally. But literally, that threat just peters out as soon as Joffrey dies. We know that that's not going to go anywhere. We've got so many bigger fish to fry and so many more interesting things to look at. I'm pretty sure that the second half of this season, or at least a good chunk of this season, is going to be devoted to who killed the king. Because he's the first Lannister to die on screen. I mean, this is huge. I mean, I know there have been Lannisters that died before, but this is really the first major Lannister to die on screen, so we have to investigate this. Plus, and I don't really feel that this is a spoiler. As soon as he's in his mother's arms dying, and Cersei is like holding her child, she's like, he killed your king. She's pointing at her brother, basically screaming, Peter Dinklage killed your king. And we know that we had to get him in prison somehow, because we saw this in the trailers. We saw him being led into the king's court with chains. We saw him talking to Bronn through the bars. So we know that this is something that's not new to us. It was so heavily hinted at it in the trailers, and we knew it was coming. I suppose, having exhausted that particular topic to death, that if I'm going to review the episode, I should just recap it a little bit. So what happens? We see a little moment between the crazy kid who tortures Theon and his father, where his father is essentially really chewing him out about this guy was important, he wasn't your plaything, what you basically compromised us, we can't take the north, all kinds of stuff. And then he's like, yeah, well, you know what? I trained him. I made him perfectly trustworthy. You want me to prove it? He basically says, here, give me that razor. You, shave me. And he does. And basically while he's goading him the whole time. And Theon looks at him, but at no point does he slit his throat. So that might be a little bit interesting when his sister comes to get him, to see exactly what goes on there. But it's not these little things that happen. I mean, I know that they're going to build up later on for the story, but I really can't say that in the big entertaining picture they matter all that much. For example, Bran Stark, whatever, the Warg Stark, he pops in briefly so that we know that, one, he's been talking way too much with his wolves, so people are warning him, you don't lose your humanity. If you keep doing this, you will lose your humanity. And two, that they're still heading north. That's it. We're just acknowledging that they're still alive. Keep moving on. Jaime and Bronn start to spar with each other because Jaime's complaining that he can't use his left hand, so he starts practicing with him. His brother's like, well, I know a discreet swordsman to help you. So they start training. So I guess that they're going to get a little bit of a buddy confidant montage in between the two of them. That's how Tyrion and Jaime are going to communicate with each other through him. Other than that, there was they're really heavily hinting that Sansa is the one who poisoned, which I'm pretty sure that it's going to be a really big MacGuffin, because Sansa's a lot smarter than that. She's not just she's a survivor. She's not going to poison the king in such an easy way. I mean, they really do heavily build up the night that she met in the garden last episode. he basically pops up. He's like, if you want to live, come with me. Let's rip off some Terminator lines. Great, but other than that, I'm pretty sure it's a red herring. It's not going to go anywhere. Other things like the love story with Brianna Tarr. I mean, the look on her face. She looked like she was being told something that she didn't want to hear, but she knew might be true. But honestly, with the cast of thousands that this has, it's at best a side plot, a distraction, and I can't really say I care. I don't care. It's like the Stannis Baratheon thing. It's not even affecting the main plot line. He's a side plot to a main plot line that we're not even sure what is the main plot line anymore. Like, is Daenerys the main plot line? I don't think so. She's the best aside character. Is the Lannister thing a main plot line? Because the Starks are all dead. I mean, I guess that's the main plot line. Personally, I think it was a Tywin. Tywin poisoned that kid, and thank you, Tywin. Thank you for poisoning your grandson, because he is so insufferable. So yeah, that happens. What else? Like, there's for something like the Purple Wedding, I expected this to be a lot grander, a lot more epic. But really, it seemed like a very simple ceremony. They're having the wedding feast afterwards, and having just come from a wedding this weekend, which is why I didn't do this video a couple days ago. Yeah, 30-minute vows. The rest of the night we eat, drink, and party. Great, whatever. It seemed like a normal wedding. Like, people were presenting gifts. It really didn't further the plot any more than we thought it would. I mean, it was literally just all filler. It was all filler leading up to the major scene. There really isn't that much to analyze in this episode. At most, I'm overanalyzing it. But yeah, so lots of violence, lots of bite where we didn't have it in the first one. House Martell made some idle threats towards Tywin. Like, they meet and it's like, okay, have at it. There's some idle threats about gout and some not so subtle stuff about raping and murdering women. I mean, unless House Martell teams up with Tyrion in prison to take revenge on his father and sister, that's I don't see it going anywhere. I mean, you had a good introduction, but honestly, I feel like you could take most of the important scenes out of the first episode, and you could have spliced them into either this episode or a couple episodes that are coming down the line, and you literally wouldn't have lost anything. You literally could have taken the meeting between Tyrion and the Prince of House Martell, the second Prince of House Martell, stuck them somewhere in the beginning of this shindig, like maybe taking out the gift giving scene and stuck that in instead, and then fast forward a couple days later. It's totally doable. It's not like we haven't done that in this series. There wasn't anything in particular that I saw that was that we could build on, that we could really build on. We're gonna follow Sansa for a little bit. They really tried to make her a main character. I don't think that, or at least they are leading us to believe she's going to be a main character. They really aren't. And honestly, that's it. That's all there is to this episode. So if you made it this far, good on you. You are a trooper, because I know I'm not the easiest person to listen to, especially during a review. But as I said, you're awesome. Like, favorite, subscribe, do all that great stuff. Comment, whatever. And I will see you next week for the next episode. Maybe I'll sprinkle a couple things in between, because I got a few other things that I'm thinking of doing, movies, etc., blah, blah, blah. And yeah, thank you for watching. I will see you in a week.